Before we begin, like this video, share it, and subscribe. This episode explores a gospel that challenges one of the core assumptions of mainstream Christianity, the idea of original sin. The Gospel of the Egyptians comes from the Sethian Gnostic tradition. It presents a version of Christianity that does not begin with a fall, a curse, or inherited guilt. In this text, humanity is not sinful by nature. It is forgetful. The problem is not moral failure. The problem is ignorance. Some humans carry what the text calls a divine seed, an inner spark of awareness that originates beyond the material world. Others remain trapped in cycles of repetition, domination, and unconscious continuation. Salvation, therefore, is not about forgiveness. It is about remembering. This gospel places heavy emphasis on escaping systems that keep consciousness asleep. It views blind reproduction, unquestioned authority, and rigid hierarchy as mechanisms that perpetuate spiritual captivity. This is one of the reasons the text was considered dangerous. A gospel without guilt cannot be weaponized. A theology that says humans are divine by origin cannot easily be ruled by fear. A spiritual path focused on awakening does not require constant supervision. From a historical perspective, this gospel reflects communities that resisted Roman-style order and control. It offered liberation, not obedience. Knowledge, not submission. As Christianity became institutionalized, this worldview became incompatible with empire. So it was excluded. But the Gospel of the Egyptians leaves us with a powerful alternative vision, one where freedom begins not with repentance, but with recognition.
In the Gospel of the Egyptians, there is no doctrine of original sin. There is no inherited guilt passed down from Adam and Eve. The problem is not moral failure, disobedience, or temptation. The problem is ignorance, a loss of awareness of where consciousness comes from. According to this gospel, existence is divided between the visible world and a higher, invisible reality. Some humans carry what the text calls a divine seed, an inner spark of awareness that originates beyond the material system. Others remain fully embedded in the cycles of the world, repeating patterns without remembering their source. Salvation, therefore, is not about forgiveness. It is about remembering. This gospel presents Jesus not as a sacrificial victim sent to appease divine anger, but as a revealer, someone who reminds people of what they already carry within them. The goal is not to become morally perfect, but to awaken from unconscious participation in systems that keep awareness asleep. One of the most controversial aspects of the Gospel of the Egyptians is its attitude toward reproduction, authority, and continuation of the world as it is. The text suggests that blind continuation, doing things simply because they have always been done, is part of the trap. It views unexamined obedience, rigid hierarchy, and unconscious repetition as mechanisms that maintain spiritual captivity. This does not mean the text is anti-life. It means it is anti-unconscious life. From a historical perspective, this gospel reflects communities that were deeply suspicious of power structures. A religion that teaches people they are divine by origin does not need constant supervision. A theology that removes guilt removes leverage. And a spirituality that emphasizes awakening over obedience cannot easily be used to build empires. That is why this gospel could not survive canonization. As Christianity aligned itself with Roman authority, it needed a theology that emphasized sin, judgment, and external control. The Gospel of the Egyptians offered none of that. It offered freedom, and freedom does not scale well into institutions. What makes this text so important today is not whether one accepts its cosmology literally, but what it reveals about early Christianity. There was never one single version of the faith. There were competing visions of what it meant to be human. The Gospel of the Egyptians preserves a vision where humanity is not broken, but asleep, and where awakening is the true salvation. And that idea, perhaps more than any other, explains why it had to be excluded.